video, we will be discussing about the different models of mass communication. So, first of all, talking about the linear model, the first model comes the Aristotle model, which is known as the rhetoric model. Rhetoric model says SSOAE, that means speaker, speech, occasion, effect, and occasion, audience, and effect. So SSOAE, and after that we have to understand LEP means the art of persuasion, which is logos means logic, ethos means credibility, trust, or authority, and pathos means emotional response. So these are the three things which Aristotle used to persuade others. So this is the first model of communication known as Aristotle's model of communication. Now coming to the next part, Aristotle's IDEMA. First of all, for detailed understanding, you have to study this concept. This is a revision class. This notes is purely for revision purpose. This is not systematic understanding part. This is not foundation class. This is revision class. So let's revise together and crack NTA UGC net. So first linear model is known as Aristotle model, which was back in 300 BCE. And what we have to understand, SSOAE, that means speaker, speech, occasion, audience, and effect. And we have to remember LEP, which means logos, ethos, and pathos. What is LEP is to persuade the other, this mode of persuasion. By logic we can persuade people. By pathos, P means by emotions, E means by credibility, who is persuading, it's depending on LEP. And 5 stages of rhetoric is IDEMA: inventio, disposio, illotio, memorio, and actio. This is the poetic terms. It is the golden trilogy. That means LEP is the golden trilogy. Inventio means the collection and conceptions of subject matter, collecting the subject matter. Disposio means structuring the speech, how to structure, how to convey the message. Illocitio means it is the linguistic articulation. Memorio means memorizing the result, configurations of form of context. And actio means finally acting out. All right, so after this particular thing, we will be directly moving on to the next part of linear model. And one thing which I have already mentioned in short video, that linear means no feedback, one way process of communication, one way models of communication. Now what is model of communication? Why we are studying model of communication? Model of communication means it is a representations of real world phenomenon. Model of communication is nothing but the representation of real world phenomenon, where with the help of models we try to understand, we try how communication works with other peoples, with the external environment. The world phenomenon in more abstract way were given by certain authors, certain researchers. So that's how model derived, and which is universal. Now second part comes the hypodermic needle theory. Hypodermic needle theory, the year associated is 1938 to 1940. Hypodermic needle theory can further divide it into two parts. One is direct effect and another one is indirect effect. Direct effect was proposed by Harold D. Laswell, which is one step. Media is directly affecting, directly hypodermic needle is being infringed to the audiences. And indirect effect means Paul Lazarsfeld, which is two-step flow theory. The other names of hypodermic needle theory model is hypodermic syringe model, transmission belt model, TBM, magic bullet theory, MBT. Alright, so in 1927, Pavlov experiment, stimulus response theory, the dog and bell concept. Harold D. Laswell in 1927 book Propaganda Technique in the World War. 1938 direct effect theory emerged. In 1940 indirect effect, Lazarsfeld introduced it as an opinion leader. So you ignore the Bengali words, which is my personal note I am sharing with you, because we are revising, why we are giving a revision together. Now the third point which we must study is the Laswell's model of communication. Laswell's model of communication is very important because it was proposed in the year 1948. It is known as political communication model. Who says what in which channel to whom with what effect is known as political communication model given by Lasswell. So now the 10 models, first 10 models will be of linear model where feedback is not there, without feedback, known as linear model. The communication of idea, the book from which this came is the communication of idea. Linear model of communication, who says what to whom, who says what in which channel to whom with what effect. First modern communication model, this is known as first modern communication model. And the most important part is this effect analysis of Lasswell's model of communications, effect analysis, which is channel A, channel B and channel C. What is channel A, what is channel B and what is channel C? Channel A, channel B and channel C, this is known as CAB, cognitive, affective and behavioral. This is effect analysis, how we are getting affected. So next coming the mathematical model. Mathematical model is known as information model of communication. Information model of communication was given by E. Shannon and Weber, Warren Weber. Claude E. Shannon and Warren Weber. It is inspired by cybernetic theory. Cybernetic theory was held in the year 1948. It was identified the quickest and most efficient way of channel to transfer message from one point to another. This is known as mathematical model. So in mathematical model, we need to understand three parts: level A noise, level B noise and level C noise. Level A noise associated with channel noise, that means the transmitter, if there is a problem in transmitter. Level B means semantic, difficulties in words, misunderstanding, connotative meaning, not denotative meaning. Denotative goes with dictionary, the same meaning. Connotative meanings, different people having different meanings. Then we are having effective noise. Effective noise is the level C noise, that means audience are not getting the right feedback. So entropy means problem, redundancy means opposite to entropy, that means highly predictable words is known as entropy, opposite of redundancy. Entropy means problem, redundancy means highly predicted word. Then after it comes general system theory, which is the fifth model. General system theory, under general system theory, as we can see, it's in 1948. Who had invented it? It's Ludwig van Bentel. So what was it means we just subsystem, we create subsystems to make a better understanding of concepts. So this comes under general system theory. So after this we will be studying about cybernetics. Cybernetics was given by, who has proposed cybernetic theory? Cybernetic theory was given by Norbert Wiener, 1948. So control and communication in the animals and the machines. Cybernetics means control and communication in the animals and the machines, where science concerned with the study of system of any nature which are capable of receiving, storing and processing information so as to use it for control. That means input and output. Cybernetics means it is with computing, it is with computations. It was given by Norbert Wiener in 1948. The main purpose was from the book it came, Our Control and Communication in Animal and the Machine. We need to identify, like our human beings has been compared with computer, human brains are being compared with computers, where brain system recognized, just like the memory chip recognized by the ATMs, different people having different ATM cards. That ATM card gets certain things stored, my personal data is stored, that's why after entering my pin that things matched. So cybernetic is similar concept with human brains, how human brains recognize certain things. Suppose this is written in English and Bengali to some extent, so we are getting the student who understand English and Bengali, they are getting it, they can decode it, because English language is being already feeded in their brain. But if this is written in Chinese language, neither I nor you will be, I don't know whether you know Chinese or not, but the person who is not well aware with Chinese language, this will be a noise for them. That means cybernetics is anything. Cybernetics is any particular thing which helps us to understand it better. So now what we will be studying after cybernetics. We will be studying of universal model of communication, which is Russell Better code. There are five components, which are sender and receiver, medium which carries the message, contextual factors, message and feedback. Five components of universal model of communication by Russell Better code, given by, in this model we are having sender and receiver, medium which carries the message, contextual factors, message and feedback. What is two-step flow theory or leadership model? Two-step flow theory was given by Lazarsfeld. It is also, the multi-step was given by Kurtz and Lazarsfeld in the year 1955, as you can see over here, 1955. So one way two-step flow theory, where the source, message and mass medium are there, and the to flow is opinion leader. Opinion leader is the another step, which is the message is disseminating to the public. So this is two-step flow theory. The system, the informations are disseminated to the public via two steps. Now coming to the ninth, that is linear model, ninth part, which is gatekeeping model. Gatekeeping model is the theory proposed by David Manning White in the year 1950. David Manning White in the year 1950, social psychologist German Kurt Ziedax. This theory derived from German psychologist Kurt Ziedax. It was inspired from 1943. Psychology, this gatekeeping theory first came in psychology in 1943, and in mass communication it came in 1950. So after that we will be studying about George Gardner's model. George Gardner's model is similar with what? George Gardner's model is similar with mathematical model. Mathematical model, who proposed mathematical model? As you guys can see over here, mathematical model was proposed by Shannon and Weaver in the year 1949. Mathematical model's extension is George Gardner's model. Alright, so George Gardner's model is nothing but the extension of mathematical model, where we understand that there are sender, encoder, channel, message, decodes, receiver, encodes, and the feedbacks are slowly coming. All right, so it's a vertical dimension of media control, and it is also known as access model. Now SMCR model, which is very much common, sender, message, channel and receiver, by David Berlow, where encoding and decoding takes place. So the source, message, channel, receiver is the main element of SMCR model. If you want to know more about SMCR model, then I can say the sender sends the message, the channel and the receiver. David Berlow asserted it, which is known as SMCR from the model of communication. Shannon Weaver's model's extension this is. So SMCR model came in 1960. Question might ask that whose models extension is this? So we can say it's Shannon Weaver's models extension from 1949 to 1960. So David Berlow, sender, source encodes the message via signs and channels to decodes to the receiver. All right, so now we are coming back to the last part of the linear model of communication, which is Newcomb's ABX model. This is also known as triangulation model. So here an approach to study the communication act. How is communication acting? Like message, the sender and the topic. Message and the sender is inspired by the topic, the X factor. All right, X is the third person, the issue, the topic. Social, to create a social equilibrium, we use this particular model is being used. Wesley and Macleigh's model of communication is an extension of Theodore Newcomb's model. Wesley and Macleigh's, from Wesley and Macleigh's communication model, this is derived. So now coming back to the two-way model of communication. Two-way model of communication means where feedbacks are given, where feedbacks are necessary part. So first is the Osgood's and Scram's model of communication, which came in 1954, the circular model of communication, where a common field of experience is required. The semantic difference theory was first given by Osgood, and the semantic barrier. In Osgood and Scram's model, the semantic barrier plays a significant role. Semantic barrier can be of the background, of the brief experience and the values. So this is a circular model. That means the sender sends the message, the receiver gets it, and the receiver further sends feedback to the sender. So while feedback, it coming with the circular mode, and the components of Osgood's model are sender, message, receiver, and semantic barriers which we must understand. So after that we will be studying about transactional model of communication. Transactional model of communication with feedback, where while we communicate, we transfer our culture, we transfer our knowledge to one another, to the sender and the receiver. The transaction communication model was derived in the year 1970. Who derived it? By Dean Borland. Exchange of message between sender and receiver. It is multi-layered feedback. Not only the feedback which they are providing, but it is actually multi-layered feedback. That means while communicating we get transactional analysis, like adult ego is a multi-layered feedback, where child ego and parents ego, different egos are being transmitted in transactional model of communication. After transactional model of communication, we will be understanding about Roman Jakobson's model of communication, which derived in the year 1960. There are 6 elements: the addresser's emotive message, which is poetic; content, which is referential; addressee, which is connotative; and fatigue; code, which is metalingual; and denotive, same for all. So what is the meaning of connotative and denotive? Connotative means the meaning which I am deriving, and denotive, so if you want to understand connotative and denotive means dictionary, the meaning for all, and connotative means which I am deriving. Now to understand this in a more easy way, we must lay more emphasis on Romans and Jakobson's model. Romans and Jakobson's model, the 6 stages, as we can see, is the communication system of Roman Jakobson's model. What we can see in this particular model is that there are 6 elements: the referential function in the language. That means the function in the language means denotive and connotative meaning. Poetic functions, which means message stops being a means of communication. Figure of speeches are being used here. That means metaphor. Alliteration. Alliterations means repetition of the same words. Simile means using like. So these are the figure of speech which we have learned, we have studied in earlier classes. So this, the way we are communicating, the way sender is crafting the message to the receiver, deals with the poetic function, deals with the communication system. That means the language which they are used, the emotive functions. Suppose my mood is good, then I will be sending the message more in a more polite way. But if I am having a rough mood, then my message will be sent in a more rougher way, in a more disgusting way. So the sender's emotion also determines. The connotative functions means the direction towards the recipient's the message, how the recipient is receiving the message. Fatigue functions means the normal starting of the message, and metalinguistic functions means the same code, repeating of the code. Suppose anyone is saying that, am I clear? Am I clear? Am I clear? Same word is being used after 2 to 3 sentences. Alright, so this is the metalinguistic functions. So these are the main parts of Roman Jakobson's model of communication, where 6 functions or elements are there. 6 elements are: number 1, communication system, which is the connotative and denotive. Number 2, the poetic function, that means the figure of speech. Number 3, the emotive functions, how the emotions are being engaged. Number 4, the connotative function. Number 5, so number 1, communication system. Under communication system, connotation and denotation both comes, but under connotative functions, which is a separate functions, where only the connotative functions of the sender is involved, and the fatigue functions means how they are being communicating, the relationship between the sender and the receiver, and metalinguistic functions means how the sender is only repeating a particular word. Now coming back to the next part, Wesley and Maclean's model of communication. Under Wesley and Maclean's communication model, it came in 1957, and in Wesley and Maclean's communication model, we can see 2 part: interpersonal part and another one is mass communication, the point of difference part. All right, so Wesley and Maclean's model of communication, it was adapted from Newcomb's model of communication, ABX model. This is the next version of ABX model, and where Newcomb's ABX model is playing a vital role in the creation of this particular Wesley and Maclean's model of communication. So in this particular model of communication, gatekeeping keeps a very vital part. So Wesley and Maclean's model of communication has two contexts. One is interpersonal communication, that means mass communications, interpersonal side, the functions of mass communication, and the other one is the point of difference in feedback. So Wesley and Maclean's model of communication can be divided into further two parts. After Wesley and Maclean's communication model, we will be studying about Diffluser's model of communication. This is known as the rectangular model of communication. Rectangular model of communication, today's mass media model. That means we are doing class on YouTube. That means a source, a transmitter, a channel is there, a receiver is there, and finally it's going to the destination. And inside there are several noise. Alright, so I am quickly shifting my camera over here to understand this particular Diffluer model of mass communication, where a source is there, a transmitter is there, a channel is there, a receiver is there, a destination is there. In between there are so much noises. The destination, the receiver, the channel, the feedback device, the transmitter and the source, all are connected. All are connected in a rectangular form. So we must remember rectangular form of communication is Diffluer model of mass communication system. So coming back to our revision note part, where Diffluer model of communication, we need to understand the rectangular model of communication, today's mass media model, which derived in 1958. That's it, nothing else. So in Relay and Relay's model of communication, what is Relay and Relay's model of communication? It is a mass communication and the social system, which states that every individual is the average of 5 close group. Sociological view and sociological context of mass communication, every individual is the average of 5 group. We usually get affected by our close person. So coming back to the model part, what we can see over here is that there is a periphery group of sender, not only one sender, a group, a chunk of sender. Social context is there. So these models are more investigated, more research, more developed model from the basic communication model. All right, so it came in the year 1959, where the messages are going there, periphery group receiver, then feedback are coming, messages are going coming. All right, so messages are going and messages are coming. This is more complex way, this is more well developed, this is more well researched part, where we can say, where we can derive the overall social structure, how it is being communicated, how messages are being communicated is particularly known in this particular model. Now we are moving on to a very important part, which is the helical model of communication, or known as Frank Dunn's model of communication. With the time, it is getting more developed model of communication. In the year 1967 it emerged, and it is the time preference model. With time we all get more knowledge, with time we get more situations, we tend to understand situations better. Suppose 2 years back, the concept, I can share my personal experience. 2 years back, the concepts of mass communication as far as NTA UGC NET is concerned was very limited to me. But after this time period, I tend to understand things more clearly. Suppose 7 years back, while I was in college, this model, the concepts, the understanding of this model was not that much clear to me. I used to mug up and just write the questions. But these all are historic research. These all are experimental research, and they are the product, they are the child, they are the brainchild of the researchers. So which are very much universally accepted part. So as you can see, the model, the helical dance model, initially our brain tends to think like this, narrow minded. With time it gets more space, so that's why it's dancing, dance. Very sorry for the camera shake. So just Just for the sake of understanding, I did a bit, I don't know what. So helical model of communication is in 1967. Frank Dunn's its time relevance model. With time, knowledge gets enhanced. Now it's coming the mosaic model of communication. Sam Beaker is the profounder of this model, and individual difference about a people. Every form of communication is an important, yeah, communication are important to build our personality. So to build or to harden our personality, we must know this mosaic model of communication. Mosaic model of communication means it is given by Beaker's mosaic model of communication. Model talks about individual difference of people. Every people are individual, they are different, they are getting different parts. Every form of communication are important to build our personality. So blocks, clubs, different blocks are there, and it is used. The components are, there are empty cells. Suppose that there is a Rubik's cube. Okay, so that the different parts, the different components get to build our character. Suppose there are different parts are building our character. That means the puzzle, this is, suppose this is a full human body, human mind. This is a part, this is a part which I am not going to open, then the ink will spill. So this is a part, this is a part, this is a part, this is a part, and every part is making a complete pen. All right, so that's why what we know, that mosaic model of communication means every form of communication are important, small steps are important to make something big. Now we are moving to Devotee's interactive model of communication, which came in the year 2003. So derived from information processing model 1960s, there are 8 elements which are sender, receiver, message, channel, coder, encoder, decoder, in context, feedback, and noise. So this is most recent model. So the more recent model, obviously with more research work, with more development, with more literature review, came the new Devotee's interactive model. So what is the difference with the old model? It is getting more amplification, it is getting more linear procedure, it is more research oriented, it is more studied, it is studied in a way better way, where feedbacks are not random feedbacks are also intercommunicated. While producing a feedback, the sender who is giving the feedback, the receiver who is giving the feedback, as we know communication model is circular, so the sender also gives feedback, the receiver also gives feedback. So this is a never ending process. So in this never ending process, the feedbacks are also messages which is crafted in the mind, and the research detailed study of the feedback, how the feedback creating noise, how the feedback is clearing the noise, how the feedback is creating the noise, as well as how the feedback is clearing the noise. Everything is related with Devotee's interactive model. Interaction means talking with each other. Suppose I am teacher, I am teaching, so students, it is quite obvious that my first example is not suitable for the students to understand the concept. I must craft different types of examples for different types of students. So this crafting, this is an interactive process. My feedback, their feedback, my message, their message. So it's a circular interactive process, which where we can see that, suppose this is the sender encoding the message, as well as this is the receiver decoding the message. Same, this is the receiver decoding the message, as well as this is the sender encoding the message, and which is circular, and the whole circle is also circulating. In between we are getting noise and feedbacks. Some feedbacks are good, feed backward, feed forward. Why feed backward? Because the receiver is giving to the sender. And who is sender? Everyone is sender. Who is receiver? Everyone is receiver. All right. So this is known as devotees interactive model of communication. And finally, Greyherd's Malsky's model of communication, which came in the year 1963. So this is the newest 2003, the devotees interactive model. This is old, 1963. So in this part, the non-linear part, where two-way communication model, this in my notes, this is not systematically arranged. All right, this is just I am given the data in 1 to 2 3 pages, but in this part, linear model of communication, this is systematically chronologically arranged. So I have uploaded a short video on the names of the models only. All right, so before digging deeper, we must skim the topics first, how much we should study. So after skimming the topic, after going through the shorts, you can have a watch in this video as well. So it's already been 30 minutes discussing about the topics in such a way that it is not the foundation class. This is a revision class. I suppose that the students who already know the base, who have done their masters, who have done their bachelors, they can relate with this part, and it is a quick revision part. Remember, NTA UGC NET doesn't judge our theoretical aspect. We are not giving a theory based exam. It's a practical based exam. We need to dig deeper. We need to identify the question. We need to break the concepts, and we need to we need to mark the right answer. So that's what. With today's video, where we discussed about the linear models of communication, in the next video, we will be talking about the different theories. The different theories can be divided into direct effect, limited effect, cumulative effect, and all. So theories, normative theory, semiotic theory, different types of theory, critical theory, cultural theory, many theories are there, Asian communication theory. So models and theories, with models and theories, we will be completing this part of our theory and model part. After completing this chapter 4 and chapter 5 theory and model part, we will be moving forward with the Asian communication part, and we will end our unit 1's lecture. So thank you guys for connecting to At Ease No Media, where we discuss media related topics at ease.